Hey guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video, and today we're going to pick through that mess from last night and look at 5 things that we learned from Manchester City's 2-1 defeat against Chelsea, which handed Liverpool the title. Because I think there's probably more than 5 things to learn from this game. But we're going to talk about a few little points that I personally picked up from it, because it's going to be interesting. And I think there's lots we can take from this to hopefully kind of, I guess, lead us into next season, when we hopefully can put up a bit of better title defence. Well, not title defence, just a title challenge in our defence was this season. I'm going to start initially with the first thing that we learned was absolutely nothing. Yeah, we learned nothing from this game. Genuinely nothing. And now what I mean by that is obviously we did learn something, but I meant nothing as in terms of there's nothing new. This was genuinely a microcosm of our season in a small 90-minute nutshell. All the classic tropes of Manchester City's Premier League title defence were there. It's been shambolic basically since the first start of the season, really. Even going back to the Spurs game, and Guardiola referenced this as well. Guardiola said after the game, this season we dropped points in the beginning, some unfairly, but the other ones it's because we make mistakes like today. The unfairly thing being referenced in the Spurs game, which he felt was unjust, given I think the report, wasn't it, and all that kind of stuff, which I personally agree with as well. But he's right to say we drop mistakes because we make mistakes like today, or like last night, but I was quoting Pep directly there. But then you think about back to games like individual mistakes that cost us at Norwich, Wolves as well, then United cost us some points in a draw against Palace as well. I think we even made some mistakes, against Newcastle, did we? I can't remember. That was a long ranger, but in general we kind of shot ourselves in the foot each time. And that's very Manchester City this season. This Manchester City team has been very, very, very indecisive. It's been consistently good up front, and we've let De Bruyne down to an extent. This season it's been like De Bruyne does something special, then we make a mistake at the other end. So when I say we've learned nothing, I mean basically this is our season. So we know what we know. This team does need to make obvious improvements to its mental fortitude, really, because they look a little bit like ill at ease, basically. They're not sure what to do when teams get at them defensively, and there is an inconsistency there, and there's a nervousness as well to our defence, and we're not quite the same, and we are looking a little bit toothless at times, but we know this already. So basically we know that the errors that we've got, we've probably forgotten about them to an extent because of the pandemic, and it's been so long since we lost a game of football, literally because of time, and also because we started so well post-pandemic. This just reminded us and put us right back down, basically, taking us right back down to earth, because we know that there are problems and we're going to have to fix them. So we've learned nothing from that. Second point is, and this is the first time I think I've heard a player maybe mention this publicly, is complacency. It does seem to exist. Now I'm going to read this Ilkay Gundogan quote. This is after the game. He said, "What we've done in the last 2 or 3 seasons is incredible." True, very true. Maybe after winning titles, we didn't arrive with the same passion. And I had the feeling after Liverpool won the Champions League, they were incredibly focused after 30 years not winning the league to win every single game, like it was the last chance they had. Maybe we didn't get that moment. Maybe we thought, we have time. But in key moments in the first part of the season, when different circumstances didn't help us, it became more difficult. Long story short, Gundogan feels like maybe we've been complacent. And you know what? Maybe there is an element of that. Maybe we weren't aggressive enough in the transfer market, and we didn't get the centre-back that we so obviously needed. For whatever reason, it didn't happen, and maybe that was complacency on our part, but feeling that Fernandinho was going to be enough, and I love Fernandinho, but he isn't the answer to our defensive woes. Maybe we didn't get the reinforcements we wanted. We didn't really. Rodri, it maybe is a different answer to a different question, Cancelo, another right-back. Did we need another right-back? Did we need to spend that much money on another right-back? Were we complacent after our title win in terms of rebuilding the squad and giving it the fresh impetus that it needed? Maybe we were, and maybe I felt excited at the start of the season. I felt we'd done pretty well, but maybe I was wrong, And also maybe the players are just kind of used to it now. Maybe there wasn't that energy there, so maybe they do need a bit of humiliation to kind of get back on focus, because this isn't the Manchester City team that we've grown to watch be so impressive over the recent years. This is a team that looks a little bit used to winning, I guess, and that can be a bad thing sometimes, because it can take away the edge, and Liverpool definitely had more edge than Manchester City this season, so we need to find a way to change that. Does it mean new faces? Does it mean a new style? Does it mean maybe our new assistant manager might have to be a little bit more aggressive next season with the players? Who knows? But there is complacencies there, and basically now it's on Guardiola to find a way to shake up this squad and make it full of life again, basically, because it is lacking. The next point I want to make is strikers, because I think this is one thing about the squad as well, largely. I think it's pretty obvious that we are short up front. Now, are we short, or do we need to look at how we manage our squad? So if we're going to do this two strikers thing with Gabriel Jesus and Sergio Aguero, we really need to have a plan B, C and D. And I think our plan B for when we only have one striker is to play the false nine thing. I'm not convinced at all, personally, that that's always going to work. Now, admittedly, we have seen it work before, but it feels like at some point he was going to look a little bit toothless. So last night we were very, very, very easy to play against. We were passing it around. I know people will say we could have scored, and still you could have scored in the game and we win it and all that kind of stuff. True. But before that, if we ask hand on heart, were we creating chances other than that quick 10-minute spell? Not really, no, honestly. We weren't really testing Kepa. A header, I recall at one point. Mahrez did drill a shot over, curled wide. But largely, we weren't creating loads of chances. And we're going to need to create more to beat a team like Chelsea. So, even though the false knifing can work, that felt like our only option. And if we get like someone like Aguero out for long-term injury, we can't have Gabriel Jesus and then a false nine situation with Sterling or someone like that, because it isn't going to work. It isn't going to work. What happens if we get Gabriel Jesus and Aguero knocked with knocks? That's not a solution, is it? We can't just do that. I personally feel like we need to, if we're not going to bring the striker, which I don't think we will do, though I do think there's an argument for bringing in a striker now to challenge Aguero, who's getting a bit older. I think that's a good idea. But if we're not, I really do think we should be integrating one of the younger lads from the academy, just because we need to know if a striker can fit around the first team. And to me, that's Liam Delap. I think Liam Delap is a fantastic young striker with loads of potential, who's done incredible things with under-18s this year. I know it may be a little bit too soon for him, but next season, if we're not going to have Aguero and Gabriel Jesus, I really think we need to rule the roost over Liam Delap and see if he can be useful off the bench, because sometimes a young 18-year-old, 17-year-old striker coming off the bench, especially one as physical as he is, and he's very direct, could just give us a little bit of surprise energy. That's my humble opinion. I always think you need a natural striker on the bench. I just genuinely believe that's really important, because I don't think you can get by with this false knifing every single time. Next point I want to make is about the speed of the team. It feels slow. The team feels slow. We went from having one of the fastest teams in world football in the way that we played in general to just looking slow. You think about Manchester City 2-3 years back. You think about Sane on the wings, with Sterling on the wings, with Aguero looking a bit faster, he's a bit younger. Gabriel Jesus was there, he was a bit faster. David Silva definitely had more energy. Think about bald David Silva closing down, 17-18 season. David Silva had more energy because he was a little bit younger and he was pressing down more aggressively. Kevin De Bruyne was obviously there. A younger Fernandinho with a lot more energy and pace in midfield than what we've currently got. We had... Kompany was even faster than Otamendi and Stones. He generally was. So we had a little bit faster there defensively, maybe. Kyle Walker, obviously fast. But either way, the way we played was energy and aggression. And now what we've got is a team that seems to be slow. Now, the nature of how we play now, we play a right footer on the left and a left footer on the right. And I think the nature of how we play now means our game is a lot more slow. So what we'd usually have 2-3 years ago was we'd have someone like, I don't know, Silva or De Bruyne passing it into the channels, and we'd have those players sprinting onto it, and then they'd be able to use their strongest foot to get the ball across first time. And what we've got now is we have to play it into the feet of Sterling and Mahrez, and we've got a situation where Mahrez in particular, Mahrez has been good, by the way, and I'm not trying to say he shouldn't be in the squad and there isn't any use for him. There clearly is, but what I'm saying is a natural byproduct of Mahrez's game is that he takes 10 touches, he does some step overs, he tries to cut inside, tries to beat his man, and by that point the whole team, the defence is settled. And Sterling has to do the same on the left because he's not as confident on going down on the left channel. So what happens is he cuts back inside and everyone gets back and he defends, and as a result Sterling looks slower. Sterling doesn't look fast anymore, does he? You know what I mean? He doesn't look fast anymore when he used to look lightning when he was on the right, because he could immediately run onto the ball and keep going because he was on his strongest foot already. So what we've got now is wingers that are slower, so we're easier to defend against. We've also got David Silva, he's just not as fast anymore. He's just not. He's lost pace. Aguero's lost a bit of pace as well, if we're being honest. So we've got Aguero who's getting a bit older, losing a bit of pace. I think he has lost half a yard. David Silva's lost more than half a yard or two of pace, because he's getting a bit older as well. And not a bit older, a lot older. And Fernandinho has always been a faster, more energetic player than Rodri. Now, Fernandinho's never going to be in midfield again, whether we agree on that. He's not going to be there. So, unfortunately, we've lost pace from the middle as well. So, we've got a slower midfield with Gundogan often playing, with David Silva and Rodri often playing. So, we've gone from having an energetic version of David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne with Fernandinho behind him with more pace to having Rodri is slower. I like Rodri. Once again, he can be useful, but he is slower. So he's slower. David Silva's slower. Gundogan's slower. And then we've got slower wide people and slower forwards in terms of how they play. And we've probably got a slower defence as well, because we just probably have, because Otamendi's definitely got a little bit slower. Stones is always injured. Garcia isn't particularly fast. And Mendy doesn't have the pace of when he first joined as well. So we've got a slower team, and we need to get some of that youthful zest back, because Manchester City, when you think of 2 years ago, aggression, closing down, the speed of the football, now it's so nice and so soft. And I think, honestly, our game has changed. And finally, there's just a positive point to point out, perspective. Because I think it's worth pointing that out to end on a high note. This is a quote from... This is a quote from Gundogan. It's the first half of that quote I quoted earlier from the Complacency. He put, the last 10 competitions we played as a club, we won 8 titles. Never has that happened before in this country. Never. So you can't win all the time. Which is true. And he also said we missed one important central defender with Kompany. We missed him. And Merrick was injured all this season. There's a little bit of problem for us. We didn't show the consistency to play better. But he's right to say, actually, interesting to know that he thinks we should have signed someone there. But he's right to say that perspective shows that we maybe did miss key players at key times. Laporte, Sarni maybe as well would have been very useful at some point this season. And he's right to say the last 10 competitions we've been fantastic. We've won 8 titles out of that, and we probably could win 1 more this season, if not 2 more. It could be still a season where we could do a treble. I'm not saying that's going to happen, and probably won't happen statistically speaking, and the probability is quite small of that. But I mean, we are favourites for the FA Cup, and I would be disappointed if we didn't win that. And we could go far in the Champions League. Who knows? So perspective is always worth hanging on to. We are still a phenomenal team, but all good things have to come to an end, and our title challenge came to an end. And if anything, it's shown Manchester City early on, at least, that there are big question marks to do. Maybe if we defended the title a bit better and not been quite as bad, maybe it would have masked some of the problems that we've actually got in our squad, and maybe we wouldn't have taken quite as seriously in the summer transfer window. So maybe if anything, it could be a positive that we've seen these glaring mistakes throughout the season, because now we'll actually see what we need to replace. And I'm pretty certain, definitely if we get over the cash stuff, and the financial fair play stuff, I'm pretty certain City will be very aggressive in the transfer market, because we need to. So perspective is very useful. We've had it very good, and you can't win the league every single time. Even Bayern don't manage to do that. They do pretty much every time, but not every single time. So it happens. Sometimes you don't win the league, and if anything, it can be a good way to rebalance, regroup your thoughts and all that kind of stuff, and come back better next season. Fingers crossed we do. Guys, that's just 5 things that I learned from the game. Go watch a match reaction video, and also go watch this video. Match reaction should be here, I reckon. Subscribe right here. And also right here, there'll be a video about why I think we should sign Kalidou Koulibaly. The answer just being last night. It was before last night's game. But go watch it anyway. Love you all loads. In a bit.